Howdy, friends and floor heads. It is the day before Halloween. So I could not think of a better day to start and premiere Call of Cthulhu here on the Third Floor War stream channel. I've got four of my good friends here, all of them, of course, patrons. So being a patron of Third Floor Wars gives you a chance to play in one of my games. We've been having a lot of fun running up to this, talking about characters, talking about what the game's going to look and feel like. And what we're going to do is a little bit different. So normally I do one of two things for an episode one. We do character creation or we start playing with characters that have already been built. Here we're going to do both. So in the first half of today's stream, we've done maybe 30% of the character creation already. We're going to finish it out so that those of you that play or don't play Call of Cthulhu can see what that looks like. You'll also notice that I've got a slightly different approach than what's listed in the Call of Cthulhu book, which you might like or hate. That'll be up to you. So after we finish out these four characters, we're going to take a 10-minute break. And then when we get back from that break, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Joe, welcome back, man.
Hey, how's it going?
That's good.
Been a hot minute.
It has. It has. You are not playing a Rhodian.
No, I'm genuinely shocked. I thought I could really slip it in for the 1920 setting, but I got shot down pretty quick.
So what we've done so far is we've set the names and art and the occupation is all we've done so far. So before we get into actual kind of putting together the stats and everything, Joe, can you give us a little bit of what you've put together in your mind so far for Siobhan?
Yeah, so Siobhan Moore is an artist from Ireland, and she had a big spike in popularity kind of putting together works after the, or during the Great War, after getting a bunch of letters from her two brothers. She has since fallen slightly off of popularity and is kind of on the tail end of a trip around the Americas to kind of get inspired again, and ran out of money about where we are. So just kind of putting together a little tourist kiosk, painting the local landscapes, and she hates it.
All right. So what we do usually there's two approaches to creating characters and coming up with their attributes as well as their skills. And for the attributes, you can typically do it one of two ways as listed in the book. One is you roll dice and assign them down the row. So you roll for strength, you roll for constitution, or there's a point buy system. What we're going to do is a little bit different. So right now, there is 6 attributes that we're going to fill in. We're going to figure out our strength, constitution, dexterity, appearance, power, and luck. But instead of rolling 6 times, we're going to roll 8 times and then allow the players to drop some dice rolls and then fill it in. So let's get started, Joe, with you. If you don't mind, I'd like for you to roll 3d6 8 times and jot down each time what you roll.
All right, let's go. We'll see how long this process takes.
All right, so 8.
Please tell me I can just do an up command. No, I can't. Okay, that's fine.
Another 8. Good.
Nice. Good stuff.
Oh, that was 2d6. So
that's 2d6.
Yeah, roll yourself another d6. We'll add it to 8.
I got another 8.
All right, so 12. So we've got 2 8s and a 12. And a 7. Boy, these are some dull rolls here, Joe.
It's fine. It'll pick up. It'll pick up.
Well, there's a 10.
That's okay. We finally got average.
All right. So what have we done so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 3 more rolls, Joe. Oh, look at you, 11. You're saving it for the end. 13. One more roll, Joe. Oh, and a 5. There's our low. All right. So now what I'm going to ask Joe, and I'm going to ask each of us to do this as we go through. Joe is going to rank these from the best roll to the worst roll. And then he's got to make his own version of Sophie's choice. He can either drop the highest and the lowest and keep the rest, or he can drop the two values that fall in the middle. So keep the highest and the lowest and drop the two in the middle. So Joe, I'm going to let you, well, first of all, do you know which one you're going to do?
I'm putting it in order right now. I will get back to you.
Okay. All right. And then when we come back to you, Joe, if you'll make your decision and go ahead and fill in your strength, constitution, dexterity, appearance, power, and luck with those 6 values.
Can do.
All right, LaShawn, talk to me about what we know so far about Ashanti.
Ashanti is a prize fighter / bouncer. He, he knows he's never going to go like win a championship or be a super pro, but he does it for the money. He has a pregnant girlfriend at home. That's why he's doing the prize fighting thing, also the bouncing thing. He's not a brute though. He's not a big brute. He knows how to fight. He knows how to take care of himself. But he's kind of he's kind of smart. He knows he's intelligent. He reads. He philosophize about town and things like that. Like he's a very nice and chill person.
That's cool. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, LaShawn. Let's go ahead and figure out our attributes.
All right.
We need 8 3d6 rolls.
All right.
All right, so that is an 8.
That was nasty.
And another 8.
Okay.
A 14. Holy cow, very nice.
Oh, that's good. Sorry.
And a 7.
Sorry, my cursor keeps getting lost.
All right. 15. These are some good rolls.
Yeah.
There's our 6th one at 11. Holy cow. 2 more. All right, another 11. Last one, my friend.
All right.
Thanks for the follow. And a 12. Holy cow.
And a 12.
Very nice. So you're going to do the
right.
same thing. You'll multiply each of them by 5 and then rank them from highest to lowest. And then your first decision is you're going to drop the high and the low, or you're going to drop the 2 in the middle, and then go ahead and assign them to strength, constitution, dexterity, appearance, power, and luck. Now we're going to go over to Klaas. Klaas, tell me about Veiko. Veiko. Tell me about Veiko.
Veiko. Veiko is a Finnish miner. He's 45 years old. He was born in Tampere, Finland, but he got his first job in Pitkärantaa in Karelia, mining copper. From there, he then moved on to the Outokumpu mine that was just getting started, and then he came to America with his wife and child. But things didn't go so well for Veiko here in America. He was in a part of the Bisbee deportations in 1917. It was a very violent deportation, and the owners actually managed to kill his wife and child. So he is extremely socialist. He is an extremely big unionist, but mostly he's just a ground down man because he's lost his health to mining to make other people rich. So now he just works for workers' rights.
Very, very cool. All right, so let's get your 8 3d6 rolls.
All right, let's see if I know how to do this.
So at the very bottom, you'll see the little square die, which represents the d6. If you hit that 3 times and then hit roll, it'll roll dice.
Ah.
All right, 11. Good start.
Yep, bang on the average.
All right, 6. Ooh, 16. Holy cow.
Nice.
An 8.
8.
13.
13.
All right, a 9. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more, sir.
2 to go. Come on, lucky 18.
An 11.
And one more.
Not too bad. An 11.
An
So
11.
Klaus, you'll do the same thing. Multiply them by 5. Rank them from highest to lowest. Decide which you're going to drop. You're going to drop high and low, or the 2 in the middle, and then assign them to strength, constitution, dexterity, appearance, power, and luck. Jesse, talk to me about Chip.
Yeah, it almost seems like you set this up so that you got the old guy and then the young guy. He's 23. He's a bootlegger. William Chip Reagan, Chip off the old block. His dad owned a bar out in Somerville, and it's where he was born, and was always around. You know, that kid always around in the bar, and everybody likes him and stuff like that. And kind of took over for his dad a little bit. Worked in the bar, and then everything got shut down with Prohibition, and he took his skills to brewing and distilling and making all sorts of stuff, and then running it for whoever wanted to buy it.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And I guess I didn't mention it, but this is going to be set in the classic Lovecraftian 1920s during Prohibition. All right, let's see what Chip has for his choices in rolls. Let's roll 3d6 8 times.
All right.
That's a good start with 13. Another 13. All right, a 10, right there at average. There's an 8. Here we go. Now we're starting to get the lower rolls. There's our 6. A 9. All right, so what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more, sir.
All right.
8. It's an interesting spread.
8 above 6. Oh, one more.
All right, 5 plus 6, 11. All right, so Jesse, same thing. Multiply each of those by 5, rank them from highest to lowest, and either wipe the top and the bottom or the 2 in the middle. Joe, are we ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm
We
going to
made the
bring up
decision.
your character sheet so people can see what you filled in here. What was your decision?
So I dropped the 2 in the middle, which was one of my 8s, and a 10.
Excellent. Excellent. So you kept your high and your low. Looks like the high went to dexterity. Very nice. And your low went to strength.
Yeah.
All right. So that automatically sets your move to 9. And now we go to our next step. So now we need to figure out 2 other attributes, which is your intelligence and your education. Now, normally it's 2d6, and then you add 5 to it, or add 6 to it, and then multiply by 5. But we're going to do this 4 times, and the same thing. You can take the highest and the lowest or the 2 middles. So let's do 2d6 4 times.
Yeah, these are the most important ones for my.
These are very important. So there's a 5 and a 6. 4. All right, and an 8. So it looks like you're going to either go 5, 6 or 8, 4. So in each case, you're going to add 6 to each of these, then multiply by 5 and put 1 in for your intelligence and 1 in for your education. All right, let's take a look at Ashanti real quick. Let's see where you ended up putting things, LaShawn. So it looks like you went 70 strength. That doesn't really surprise me. So that was your highest. Appearance low, 40. You're an ugly son of a bitch. Okay. But Constitution 60, power, which is like his willpower and things like that, 55, and Dex 55. I think that totally fits your concept. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll 2d6 4 times.
Okay. 2d6 4 times.
Oh, you were by. It looks like you had your luck in there by mistake. So let's try it again.
Okay.
Or maybe I did it. Try it. There we go. So 5,
5,
7,
7,
4,
4,
and 8. So you can either go 8, 4 or 7, 5. And then you'll add 6 to that, multiply it by 5, and put it in for your intelligence and your education. Right. So we have a question for you, Klaas, in the chat. Question for Klaas. Did Veiko move away before or after the Finnish Civil War? And are we going to hear some swearing about pesky capitalists during games to come?
He moved away before the Civil War. As I said, he was in the Bisbee deportations 1917, so he couldn't have participated in the Finnish Civil War, which was between 1917 and 1918.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to take a look at what you put together. Oh, wow. You got 80 in strength. So we have got you might be the oldest guy, but it looks like you might be the strongest guy. And then your low you put into Constitution, which makes sense, right? For the everything you talked about with the minor. Appearance 45 and dexterity 55, and then his willpower. His power is at 60. That's great. But
yeah, and then luck is my dump stat because, like, you go to find a better life, and then what happens is your wife and child die, and you get deported, and you lose your health. So, not the luckiest.
All right. So let's go ahead and roll 2d6 4 times.
All right.
That is a good start. 12.
Yep.
Oh, get out of here. Another 12. Wow. 10. Looks like we know who our scholar is going to be too. So this will be an easy decision. You can either use
I'm taking the high.
Yeah, go 12 and 10 or 12 and 12. I would assume that you're going to drop high and low. So go ahead and add 6 to each of those, multiply them by 5. All right, let's take a look at Chip. What did we do with Chip here? All right.
I feel like I might be one thing in the wrong spot.
Oh, we'll go ahead and switch it.
Well, no. And does that look right?
Yeah, no, it looks right. Yeah, was your stats 30, 11, 65, 40, 65, and 40?
There it is.
55. There you go. Okay, great. All right, so your high is in Constitution and Dexterity, and it looks like low in Strength, Willpower 40, Size 40, and Appearance 55. That's great. And what did you do for your luck?
I don't even see luck on. Oh, there it is. Is
So
that's one of the other stats?
correct?
So that's probably my 40 right there.
Oh,
Instead of size.
or wait a second, or did I do that wrong? We ended up with just 6. So we're gonna roll luck separate, I guess, right? Because we did not have enough numbers for luck, did we? Or no, we did. We had enough. Yeah. So what is your
size?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're at a size.
Okay,
Yeah,
counting's hard. Okay.
Yeah, we can't put anything for luck. There's not a stat for luck.
If you under skills, you can click on luck and if it's unlocked, let's see here. Where do you put in luck?
You can write
It's
Oh, it's right under it. So you have to kind of click under it, and you can see you put Yeah, we
I
see.
see.
And then Jesse figured it out with 40. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and do your 2d6, Jesse.
4 of them.
4 times. Now, I don't know if you were paying attention, but Klaus showed you how to do it. 7, 8, 6, and 8. So you can either keep 8 and 6 or 7 and 8.
I'll take the 7 and 8.
Yep. So add 6 to each of those, then multiply them by 5, drop them into your education as well as your intelligence. All right. Where did you end up putting your 2 numbers, Joe?
So I actually took the 2 from the middle, and this provided a fantastic opportunity for me to say that Siobhan didn't have too much schooling or like sort of training in this, and is just sort of a savant at it. So I put my 17 intelligence and then a 15 education.
Excellent. All right. So next up is we need to figure out age. So your age are going to modify these rolls. So for Siobhan, she is, you said 25?
25, yeah.
All right. So you get to make an improvement check for education. So your education is what?
Education's 50.
All right. So what you're going to roll is a D100, which is on the far right of the tray there. And you're going to want to roll over a 50, which you did. Now roll, give me a D10. And go ahead and add 6 to your education. All right. LaShawn, you are the same age, so we're going to go through the same process, aren't we? So what is your education?
Education is
55. Let's see if you can roll a D100 over 55.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. For Veiko, what is your education?
Right. 90.
90. Let's see if you.
Well, 18 times 5.
Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I was 45, so that's 2 rolls, right? And I have to reduce one of my physical stats.
Oh, that's
if I
right.
remember
You're a
correctly.
different class. Yeah. So what did you say you were again? I'm how old?
45.
So you're going to make 2 improvement checks, one for education. Oh, you get to do it twice for education and deduct 5 points among. All right. So let's do your 2 checks for education. Let's see if we can get a 90 or over on either one of them.
First one?
43.
Not really.
Second one? 25. All right.
Couldn't even beat 90 to get there.
So they didn't even add up to that. That's funny. All right. So if you can then subtract 5 from your strength, your constitution, or actually, no, you get to choose right between strength, constitution, dexterity. Drop one of those by 5 and reduce your appearance by 5. All right, Jesse, you said you were 23, so you're going to do the same thing that Joe and LaShawn did. So what is your education?
70.
All right, let's see if you can roll over a 70. That would be over a 70. So give me a D10. Very nice. Add 9 to your education.
Distillery school.
All right, we're going to go back up to Siobhan. So Siobhan, your education is an artist, your occupation is, right?
Correct.
And that has a certain bank of skills. So can you read off those skills to us?
Yes. So I have art/craft any, history or natural world, 1 interpersonal skill, which is charm, fast talk, intimidate, or persuade, another language, psychology, spot hidden, and then the 2 personal skills.
All right, perfect. We'll do the personal skills last. So let's start off. How do you calculate your skill points for your occupation?
So I am taking my education times 2.
And that gives you how many points total?
That is 112.
All right. So those 112 points can be put into any of those that are listed and limited by the occupation. So we're going to go ahead and let you do that, Joe.
And it's plus my dexterity or power.
Ooh, which one are you going to do?
Pick dexterity.
Very nice. Very, very nice. All right. So we'll let Joe figure out his skills. Well, Sean, you are a boxer by occupation. So what are the skill sets for boxer?
Dodge, fighting, parentheses, brawl, intimidate, jump, psychology, spot hitting, and any two other skills as personal or era specialties.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, and how do we figure out what your skill points are?
Education times 2 and strength times 2.
Very cool. So how many points does that give you total?
That give me 110 for education times 2, and then 140 for strength times 2. So 250.
Very nice. All right. So let's go ahead and drop those in the stats. You can only do the skills as it's listed and limited by your occupation.
Okay.
All right, class. How do we figure out your skill points? How is it calculated for a minor?
Well, a minor has his education times 2 and either dex times 2 or strength times 2.
You're going to have a lot of skill points. So how many total skill points do you end up with?
304.
Okay. And what is the group of skills you can list for your occupation?
Climb, geology, jump, mechanical repair, operate heavy machinery, stealth, spot hidden, and any one other skill as a personal or era specialty.
Very, very nice.
And as that, I will probably take demolition.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll let you go ahead and distribute all of those points in your skills. And how do we, Jesse, what is your occupation?
I am the bootlegger criminal.
All right, how do we calculate your skill points for bootlegger criminal?
It is education times 2 and strength times 2, which I think gives me 218.
All right, and what's your skill group that you can use?
I've got driving automobiles, fighting, firearms, psychology, stealth, spot hidden, and then 2 interpersonal skills from charm, fast talk, intimidate, or persuasion.
All right, beautiful. So let's go ahead and let you dump those points in there. So as they go through this and figure out where their points are going to be, there's a couple things that I do. I believe that as much as these 4 players think they know their characters, I have found that you really don't know your character until the second or third session. So one of the things that I'm a huge fan of as a GM in every game that I run is the ability to retcon. So an example of that is all 4 of these gentlemen are putting in these skill points where they are. And if by second or third session, one of those skill choices that they made doesn't make any sense, I will totally let them move that, right? Because this is not a competitive game. This is us collectively together figuring things out. So that takes some of the pressure off of my players when they're at this moment here and they're putting in those skills. And you know, if a shifting of those points makes more sense later, they can do that. How's our progress, Joe?
Yeah, I didn't have all that much to work with. So I took a crazy high art skill, pretty solid history, a little bit into spot hidden, and I took persuade as my like interpersonal skill.
Very nice.
As kind of like a avenue to be like, hey, buy my landscapes.
I like it. I like it. Hey, Nick, thanks for the gift, and welcome to the subscriber list, Roanoke. All right. So what are the 2? You're going to double your intelligence, and that's going to give you more points that you can put into any personal interest skills. So I'd be curious, what skills do you think that you want to round out Siobhan with?
I think that I like appraise as an artist.
Yep.
What was the other one? I had a bunch of potentials. The other one, which I think is just kind of like a weird and interesting skill to take, and kind of like a fascination and something to be interested in, and maybe something that would provide inspiration, is astrology.
I love it. I love it. Now, so astrology. Now, are we going to see her thinking about believing in signs and birth signs and what
I think
planets
so.
are
I think
where?
there's a bit of superstition
Oh, beautiful.
that's going to be going on.
That was the right answer, by the way. All right, LaShawn, as we rounded out Ashanti.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe. Nope. Okay. LaShawn,
I'm good.
talk to me. Where did you, and we don't need all the specifics, but give me an idea of where your skill points ended up.
More so in the physical, brawling, dodging, things like that, and some of the educational uses like library use and psychology.
Very, very nice. All right. So now you're going to multiply your intelligence by 2. And can you give us an idea of what skills you might dump those points into?
I dump those points into things like intimidate.
Nice. Well, that's that's a skill that was part of your occupation, though, right?
Oh, yes.
So now you're going to get double your intelligence to kind of round out your character. So skills that you didn't have access to before.
Okay. I want to dump some into occult just because personal. Like I feel like this character is a little bit of me. So me being an avid reader, I would read more into the occult.
Absolutely love it.
And probably persuasion, since I'm such a non-attractive person, I may have to talk my way through a lot of things.
That's great. That's great. So, Klaas, can you give us an idea of where your points ended up?
Well, mostly mining stuff, Like I put points into geology, into mechanical repair, 50 points into demolition,
Nice.
so that whenever I get those big crates of dynamite, I can actually blow them up fairly well. But other than that, I tried to spread them out on all the skills a little bit evenly, so that I have a little bit of stealth, a little bit of spot hidden, stuff like this.
Good. All right. So your intelligence times 2. What are some skills you didn't have access to that you might use those points for?
Well, I'm thinking about putting some in law and also into persuade, considering he's kind of a socialist, unionist firebrand.
Yep. I love the law choice. I think that's a great choice. Great choice. Mm-hmm. All right. Talk to me about Chip. Where did Chip get some points?
Spread them around mostly, pretty much to all of the skills I can take, but the charm and fast talk, he's learned how to talk when he was in the bar and stuff like that, and is more of somebody who's going to try to get himself out of trouble as opposed to persuading you otherwise. And drive, obviously, his rifle shotgun, a little bit on psychology so he can read people.
Nice.
That sort of stuff.
Well, I was hoping that we would be able to do this in an hour and a half, and we did it in under 45 minutes. So hats off to the 4 of you. That means we've got a lot more time to actually start playing, which really is the most exciting part about this. So what we'll do for those of you watching is we're going to take a 10-minute break. And when we get back from the break, we're going to start playing. But actually, I skipped ahead. We got a couple things to cover. So I talked about the setting. The setting is 1920s. We're going to start off in a suburb of Boston. We're going to start off in Newton, Massachusetts. And it's going to be in a very affluent area of Newton, Massachusetts. And the first thing we need to figure out is living in this neighborhood is somebody we're going to call Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah has been widowed for about 25 years. She's in her 80s. She's a fiercely independent woman. She comes from wealth. So it was not, she did not marry into this, but she is well off. And recently she's fallen a few times. And family members have been trying to get a nurse to come in there. She doesn't want strangers in her house. And she has talked her nephew or niece into moving in. Now for our nephew or niece, this is, depending on what the situation is, complicated or a no-brainer, right? Because you'll be living in a very, very nice house, not a mansion, but just a beautiful home. annoying and frustrating as Aunt Sarah can be, she's actually a wonderful woman, a kind woman. So I guess the first thing is, of the 4 characters, who makes the most sense to be moving in to help Aunt Sarah? So who is the niece or nephew to Aunt Sarah, do we think?
I would say Siobhan.
It's an interesting. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Siobhan wouldn't mind having a a nice rent-free bedroom, right? Access to some rich folk that might want to buy some art. I love that idea. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
So
I'm
we'll
fine with
start
it.
playing on moving day. So Siobhan is moving her stuff in to Aunt Sarah's, and 3 of Siobhan's good friends are there to help. And they're doing it not out of just friendship, but they're also doing it because all of them know Aunt Sarah makes a mean dinner. She's a phenomenal cook, and she has promised whoever helps move Siobhan will get fed that night. And on top of
Ah.
it, the 4 of you have an ongoing poker game. The 4 of you, at least once a month, get together to play cards. So it's going to be a Sunday. The 4 of you are moving Siobhan in, and the plan is that you're going to be fed by Aunt Sarah, and then hopefully when Aunt Sarah goes to sleep, the 4 of you will be able to bust out a deck of cards and start playing some poker together. I would like to get a sense, and let's do it relative to Siobhan, right? Because in theory, she could be the connector for all of us. So Ashanti, for Ashanti, LaShawn, do you have any thoughts? And Joe, obviously you're part of all of these conversations. How can we connect Ashanti and Siobhan, do we think?
I met her at the bar I bounce at. She was being harassed by some lowlife, she's trying to just get a drink, enjoy herself, after trying to sell her art, and this little life's coming up onto her, like real aggressive. I politely tap him, hey, leave the young lady alone. And he gives me a lot of lip, and then, I don't rough him up, but I roughly escort him outside.
You're very convincing.
Very
All right,
convincing.
great. And then from there, a friendship spurred, right? The 2 of you talked. Both
Yes.
of you, I would imagine, share a lot of interests as far as reading and stuff that you've read. We found out
Yes.
Siobhan, is into astrology and stuff like that. We know Ashanti is into a cult. So I could definitely see a scenario where the 2 of you, via that bar, build up a friendship. Somebody mentions they like to play poker, and the other one says, I do too. And then the tradition of the poker game starts. So how about Veiko? How do we think Veiko comes into our circle and ends up being a card player?
Well, I think that Veiko is kind of a ruined man. So he's spends a lot of nights just walking the streets, and a lot of days too. So he just ran into Siobhan's painting studio thing, and she reminds him a lot of his wife when she was young, because she was also an artist.
Nice.
So started discussing these artists, and sort of also developed some sort of paternal connection here. So I think Veiko is probably a little bit protective of Siobhan too.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Now, here's the question is, was the card game already in place? Were we looking for players, Joe? Where are we when we kind of meet Ashanti and Veiko?
Yes, so I think this is something she had very established and like kind of brought with her, not like the players, but like had a sort of tradition that she would play poker. It was mostly something taught, like, older grandparents teaching her like older games and then kind of adapting that. So like she has kind of a love. I don't think she's very good at it, but I think it's like it's a fun sort of social setting. Like it's an icebreaker to like talk to people, kind of learn about people's life experiences, maybe draw a little bit of inspiration,
I like it. I like it. All right. So, how do we weave Chip into this tale? Do you think, Jesse?
I'm thinking that Ashanti might have worked with Chip at his dad's bar over in Somerville at one point.
I like that.
Maybe before he ever met Siobhan. And just through connections, they made a little bit of a friendship, and maybe was introduced to Siobhan. And once things got shut down, then maybe Aunt Sarah liked the drink a little bit, and he was a connection to her and her socialite friends to get a little bit sauced up when they needed to.
Oh, I love that idea, Jesse. That you meet Aunt Sarah through Siobhan and actually have your own relationship with her. So not only do the four of you know each other, but both Siobhan and Chip have very unique relationships with Aunt Sarah. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So what we'll do is we're going to take that 10-minute break. When we get back from the break, we're going to start playing. We'll see you on the other side. welcome back. We pretty quickly created 4 characters, which I think is pretty neat. The Call of Cthulhu system is a little bit like GURPS in that it can be as crunchy as you want it to be. It's very simple to play. So if you've never played Call of Cthulhu before, highly recommend it because it's very easy to jump in. The mechanics of it are very, very simple. All right, are we ready?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. You wake up in the pits of hell. No.
Finally.
So as
Another morning in my apartment.
we're going to fade in from black, and we fade in with us moving the camera slowly down a street. It's obvious that Newton, Massachusetts, at least this neighborhood of Chestnut Hill, is very affluent, upper middle class, and it's a suburb, of course, of Boston. And as the camera goes, we can see to our left a street sign go by, and we realize we're on Lyman Road. And as we look at the homes and the drives, we see pretty expensive cars. Roadsters, as a matter of fact, are parked in several of the spots. They're wealthy homes that line the streets. All of them are on a half acre or more of land. Most of them are 2 and many are 3 stories tall. And each one has a kind of a natural fencing of about 6 to 8 foot tall shrubbery and trees that line each one of the homes. Coming under the camera to continue us down there, we see a kid on a bike, and he's got a pouch full of newspapers, and he's being followed by his beagle, who's barking as he goes along. And we see the boys tossing newspapers home to home as we go down the street. As we get further down the street, we see a large moving van, and we see 4 people carrying boxes back and forth from that. Our paper boy comes up on that house, avoids the van, throws a paper, and like a pro baseball player, the paper perfectly falls at the feet of an older woman that's sitting on the front porch. He waves, and Aunt Sarah waves back and says, "Thank you, Bobby." And Bobby takes off. We see Aunt Sarah sitting on the front porch. She's sitting next to another woman, and they're having a discussion. The other woman is maybe in her early 50s, late 40s. And we see Siobhan with a box full walking up the front steps. And Aunt Sarah says, "Now, sweetie, you brought a little bit more than I expected."
I really don't think it's all that much. It's mostly supplies. Like, I'm not exactly in the neighborhood of carting about a bunch of dresses, so it's just supplies.
So I assume that you're running out of room in the room I gave you. So I don't really use my sewing room at all. I guess you could put some boxes there if need be.
That'd be better than putting it all out in the hallway. So thanks.
So we see Siobhan walk into the house. The next person coming up the steps is somebody that elicits a smile from Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah goes, Chip, come here. You see Chip put his box down and come over, and she goes, "Chip, I would like you to meet somebody. This is Mrs. Rebecca Wallace. She takes care of one of the other women here on the street." And she turns to Rebecca. She goes, "Now, Rebecca, this is the boy I was talking about. This is the boy that gets me my gin." And Rebecca goes, "Oh, that seems like a wonderful person to know. It's a pleasure to meet you, Chip."
Hey, Miss Wallace, how are you?
Wonderful. And Sarah turns back to you and says, "Now, Chip, you're staying for dinner?"
Of course, wouldn't miss it.
Wonderful. We see Chip grab his box and head back in. Next up the steps is Ashanti. And as he steps up the steps, Aunt Sarah goes, I don't believe we've met yet."
Hello, Aunt Sarah. My name is Ashanti. I'm a friend of Siobhan's. I make sure she gets home at night.
She has mentioned you before, and if my understanding, you have more than a few times fought off the boys for her.
In a good way. In a good way.
Well, and you're staying for dinner.
One dream of missing it.
And right behind Ashanti as he heads in is Veiko. Aunt Sarah goes, now that means you must be Veiko? Veiko, come here. I would like you to meet somebody. I'd like you to meet Miss Rebecca Wallace. She's single.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I'm a bit.
Her name is Rebecca Wallace, and she's single. It's my understanding you are as well. And Rebecca's like
I'm a
this.
widower, Miss Sarah. Hello, Miss
And
Wallace.
she's kind of like shyly shakes the hand. She's completely embarrassed. She shakes your hand, puts your hand out.
I of course take advantage of this and give her a kiss on the hand.
Now, Siobhan has been telling me that you're one of those communists. Is that true?
I would like to refer to myself as a historical materialist.
And are you one of those communists that hates America?
I am from a country far to the east, known as Finland. If I hated America, I wouldn't be here.
So you're staying for dinner. I would prefer during dinner if we have no politics discussed, if that's okay.
Of course, and I assume that then we can also not need to have any discussions about religion.
Rebecca, that sounds fair. That sounds fair. So we montage from there as the four of you finish up getting Siobhan moved in. We cut to the kitchen as Aunt Sarah, as feeble as she is making a mean roast and potatoes. As you guys sit in the lounge area towards the front of the home, you can smell the food wafting from the kitchen. One or more of you may have offered to help. She wants none of it. And you guys sit down for dinner. And it's a pleasant dinner. Politics and religion, as promised, were not discussed. And as the evening starts to wane, Aunt Sarah stands up and she goes, here, let's collect the plates. Let's put everything away. She starts collecting the plates.
Do you need help?
Let me help you with that, sir.
You're such a nice man. You're such a nice man. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
So
I start collecting the plates.
we clear the plates. She comes over and asks Siobhan if she wouldn't mind helping her turn down for the night.
Of course.
Got to earn your rent. Siobhan comes down maybe an hour later. Chip, what did you bring for everybody to drink?
So just got some apple brandy and had some gin just in case Aunt Sarah needed it.
Excellent. And she did, and she thanked you for it and paid you, as she normally does now these days.
Put it in a drop spot.
So, I'm a mad.
No whiskey this time?
No whiskey this time. You got to special order that stuff, Ashanti.
Okay.
So I'm imagining the card table is towards the front of the home. And we've set up the card table. We've got the chairs around, starting to figure out chips, which of course Siobhan brought with her, kind of starting to lay it out. And there's a knock at the door.
I guess that's my responsibility.
And also, to give you an idea too, it's only like 8 o'clock, right? So it's not like super late that this knock is happening. Aunt Sarah tends to go down pretty early. So Siobhan opens the door, and there's a middle-aged man there, dressed in a business suit. He is neither ugly nor handsome. A very plain-looking man. He's losing his hair. But what is really noticeable is the huge crate he's carrying. And inside that crate are vegetables, fruit, and potatoes. And he looks at Siobhan, who answers the door, and he looks a little surprised, and he goes, "Oh, I don't believe we've met."
Hi, Siobhan Moore. I am, I suppose you could say, sort of living in Aid. That sounds about right. It's a family thing.
You're Miss Sarah's niece, then.
Correct.
Excellent. Now, I just got home. I meant to bring this over earlier, so I'm sure she's already cooked and everything. But these are from the garden. Would you do me a large favor? Would you mind taking these to the kitchen and making sure that Miss Sarah knows that Mr. Corbitt brought these by for her?
Corbin. Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for coming by at this late hour. Much appreciated.
So he tips his hat as you take the crate. And I mean, it is a lot of vegetables. Let's do our first roll. Siobhan, what is your natural world?
Natural world is 10 whole percent.
A whole 10%. Let's go ahead and roll that up. Any good horror game always has. Look at you. You rolled a 3. So, by no means are you a botanist. I don't imagine that you're much of a gardener either. But as you're carrying those vegetables, that crate full of vegetables and fruits, one thing does strike you a little bit, which is this is late November, and a lot of this fruit is not indicative of the Northeast, let alone this time of year. The other thing you notice is just how large and beautiful, like the tomatoes are like the size of baseballs and are just this perfect, beautiful red. And the butternut squash, you could kill a man with the butternut squash that's in this crate. So as Siobhan is taken back there, either Mr. Corbitt is either very, very good as a gardener, or he's buying this and putting him in crates and bringing him over. It's going to be one of the two. But to be honest with you, you can't imagine going to a grocer and being able to find this unbelievable selection. Mm-hmm. So Siobhan comes back after the disturbance, and you sit and play cards. Now, there's a large bay window that looks out over the street. And all of you notice, obviously, Mr. Corbitt got most of your attention. And you notice that Mr. Corbitt walked straight across the street, and apparently he lives right next door, right on the, or not next door, right on the opposite side. Cards start to get played, and just incidentally, he just went into the house. Cards start to get played. Some apple brandy gets sipped. I want to know, there's going to be 2 of you with the back to the window and 2 of you facing the window. Who would have the back to the window? Who would be facing it?
I would like to be facing the window, personally.
I like to be facing it as well.
Perfect. So we got Chip and Siobhan with their back to the window. So let's go ahead and do a spot hidden for both Ashanti as well as Veiko. So
So we can roll low when it really counts. That's good to know.
Right. So
I can.
Veiko failed his 55, but Ashanti rolled a 2 for his 25%, which is a extreme success. And I mean, at this point, you see the future, right? So
it's clear I've been drinking a little bit more of the apple brandy.
I sipped too much. It wasn't whiskey.
So Ashanti, as you're playing cards, and in typical fashion, Siobhan is taking forever to decide whether she's going to fold, call, or raise. You know that regardless of what she chooses, she's going to lose this hand anyway. So it's not real clear why she spends so much time. thinking about it. But as you kind of like wander, you look across the street and you can see that Mr. Corbitt is in his trunk of his car. So he has obviously stepped out. You didn't see him step out of the house, but you weren't watching real close. But as your eyes wandered, you see him reaching into his trunk. As he steps away and closes the trunk, he sort of clumsily is holding two items. And one item is the size of maybe a volleyball. And it's wrapped in like a canvas. And then also holding, what he's holding is something else that might be maybe the size of a cricket bat. So it looks to be longer, but also wrapped in this burlap type canvas. And you see him he's kind of fumbling. He's trying to close the trunk, and he probably didn't do well in sports, right? So he works his way up to the front of the house, and just the awkwardness of all of this, I think, has really captured your attention. And as he kind of is trying to reach for his keys and whatnot, one of the packages falls, and it's the longer of the two. And you see it fall onto the front porch. And as it falls, it unravels. And the burlap unwraps from it. And what lands at the bottom of the steps, wait, that can't be right. You stand up. You think it's a child's arm. He quickly reaches down, sets down the other package, and you see him quickly rolling up this thing in the burlap sack. I'm going to need a sanity roll. But what we're going to try to do for us is, I'm not a huge fan of the term sanity, so we're going to try to call it stability. Mechanically, it's going to work the same. So if you can roll stability for me.
Okay.
All right, so that is a failure. Now I need a 1d4. So if it's in the far left there, the triangle.
Okay. 1d4.
That's a good start. Go ahead and lower your stability by 4. It should automatically update on the sheet for you that you've done 4 so far in stability today. All right, so let's take us back to that moment. Ashanti sees this. Like, I'm imagining it would cause you to stand up and actually go to the window, right? To like, there's just no way I'm seeing what I think I saw.
What in the world? And who else was facing the window?
Veiko was facing the window as well.
Okay. I'll ask Veiko, did you see that?
I look up from my cards and see what?
And I like rub my eyes, and the package that fella had, it looks like when he dropped it, like a child's arm. And I'm just like zeroing.
He's now,
has he gone through the
he
door
has now
yet?
unlocked the door. He's gone inside.
Okay. Yeah, I just tell Veiko, like, it looked like a child's arm.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. I don't know what folks do around here, but where I'm from, that's
I'm always
weird.
worried when we're dealing with capitalists.
I feel like just having a loose child's arm is like unusual in any setting. So,
Was it a mannequin or something, maybe?
You know what? It could have been a mannequin. What does that fella do over there anyway?
grows a bunch of unseasonable stuff or just buys it from somewhere. Like, it's... I haven't looked too far into it, but it's a little weird.
So I have a question. When the arm fell, did it fall like it was limp and it was flailing a little bit when it fell, or was it stiff when it fell?
Unfortunately, I'm going to probably have to answer every question you ask me with that roll that you got with that too. So when Chip mentions the mannequin, the way it fell, this thing wasn't plastic, right? So if this thing was plastic, you would have expected like a
Yeah.
bounce, right? It would have kind of bounced down the steps.
Right.
This, for lack of a better word, fell like dead weight and rolled down the front steps. So that you have a hard time believing that it did look dead, right? So you didn't see fingers moving outside
Okay.
of, falling as it went. And again, with that incredible roll that you made, Ashanti, I think that your best guess is maybe like 6-7-year-old.
Oh wow. So I say no, that was not a mannequin. That was a human arm, a child's arm. I know sometimes I wear glasses. I got hit in the head a few times, but I know what I saw. That was a child's arm.
Siobhan kind of stands up from where she's been looking at Ashante's cards and starts making her way back into the kitchen where she dropped the produce off. Like grabs a knife, grabs one of like the 2 big tomatoes, and just like as a test, because also like there's a bunch of like divination stuff that you can do with cutting stuff open. Who knows if that's going to be applicable here? Just like chops it in half and is like, it's just 1 tomato.
So you chop a tomato in half, and then you chop a second one in half, and boy, the inside is as beautiful as the outside. Just gorgeous. Had he brought them over 2 days later, they would have fallen outside of ripe, and had he brought them over 20 minutes earlier, they still would have had a little bit of green on them. But no, as best as you can tell looking at it, I mean, like there's bananas in this crate, and like, come on, right? All of it looks just like really, really just nice produce.
I don't want to follow this trope too much. Like I'm not going to cut literally everything open, because if it's just very good stuff, then I don't want to, eat into Auntie's pocket too far. So, like, I will just kind of bring them out of like, doesn't look like anything that is related to a child's arm. So I'm just gonna put these back.
I've heard of new things
Can I see
called
that?
hydroponics. I wonder if that's what he's doing in his basement.
Do hydroponics involve children's arm? I don't know. You school me, guys. I don't know.
So Ashanti, you're looking back, obviously, after Corbitt has already gone, and you notice that all of the shades in the house have been closed.
Okay. It's 8:00 at night, so is it dark out or is it?
Yeah, so it's November, so it's definitely dark out.
Okay,
and I think the only reason you could see this is because he's got a huge porch light over his front porch that lights up
Okay.
that whole front area.
Okay. Ashanti is inclined to leave it alone just because this is his neighborhood. He don't know how rich folks get down. You know what's going on, but he's like, it just bothers him a lot that looked like a child's arm, and he cannot come up with a conclusive reason why he would have a child's arm. I know it sounds, and I looked to tell everyone, like, I know it sounds out of this world, but I saw a child's arm fall from that man's hands.
Ashanti, do you want me to go and knock on his door and ask him? Because I will do that.
I mean, better you than me.
I trust you, Ashanti. You've never let my dad down. You've always spotted the troublemakers.
Well, I get up.
But we can't be just going over and accusing people of chopping up kids. Can we?
No, not necessarily.
What do you think we should do, Siobhan?
But if you do want it, I will walk there and ask him directly.
I mean, he seemed like the nervous type, so I think if a big burly miner type goes up and knocks on his door and like asks a question. I don't know how you'd couch it to like spook him a little. He might just like drop something else very comically.
You know what? We can go over and ask about, like, we're interested in the vegetables. Ask, like, just talk it up how he grows or gets such good looking vegetables, and then once we're in there, if we can get in there, see what's going on.
So as the four of you are kind of discussing this and trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do, whether you're going to knock on this poor man's door and say, hello, have you chop up children? And that discussion is happening. Auntie Sarah starts coming down the steps in her evening coat. And she immediately says, Siobhan, I'm fine. I'm just, I just want some tea. I was going to make some tea, but I'm fine. I'm fine.
Excuse me, Auntie Sarah. Your neighbor, Mr. Corbitt.
Oh, yes.
He brought some vegetables over. Is he a gardener?
He's so kind. He's such a kind man. Yes, he has a huge garden behind his home. It's I've never seen it, but I do. If you look carefully as you come down the street, you can catch a glimpse of it. He also has a very large greenhouse, which is it's not real clear how he makes. But did he put him in the kitchen? Are they? Did he give us a crate? He brings a crate by every week for me.
It looks so good. I had it's a strange thing. I just kind of had to cut it open to see if it was off. It looked too good. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware.
Siobhan, that's fair. Yeah, they're I don't know if he gave me the tomatoes, but the tomatoes he usually gives me are just huge tomatoes. But yes, he's a bit of a sad man, but he does this. He's every week. Since he's lived here, his father owned the home before that. I knew him as a boy. He's always been here, but he's very kind. He brings every week. He brings me vegetables and produce and some fruit and whatnot. And I believe he does the same, also for a few others. But for a man who's had such an awful life, I think that it's wonderful that he has these hobbies. And she kind of continues into the kitchen.
I'm sorry, I missed the very first part of that. My headphones went out. So is he a gardener or not?
So he has a garden in the back, and she notes a very
Okay.
large greenhouse that also is in the back of the home.
I would be very interested to see this greenhouse. And it's not that late yet.
Chip says, hey, Aunt Sarah, does he have any kids?
Chip, come into the kitchen. I can't hear you.
Yeah, he brings the brandy because she'll nightcap it. It goes in there.
So you walk in with the brandy, and you see her take the kettle off the stove. And she reaches up and she grabs a little glass and she goes, "This is much better than tea." And she puts it in front of you and asks you to pour it. And now you were asking a question, but I couldn't hear you, Chip.
Does he have kids?
No. I guess it would be. Oh gosh, that must be coming on a decade now, I think. And I don't. He was married. He had a wife, and she was pregnant. I remember that, and I don't know much, but it's my understanding that they lost the child during childbirth, and that she passed away as well. So it's a very sad story. So he's a widower now, and he is unfortunately childless. I don't know much of the details of it, but you remember Rebecca, Miss Rebecca, that I was talking to. She takes care of Miss Harriet Hart, which is two doors down from Corbitt. I believe Harriet has a much closer relationship with Corbitt, and she kind of looks around a little bit and she goes, and she's a terrible gossip.
Understood, understood. And that's terrible about Mr. Corbitt's family.
So sad.
He pours her a little bit and pours himself a little bit too and cheers her.
She's such a fan of you.
So do we hear that, or do we just wait for him to come back?
That's up to Chip. So I assume that only Chip
Okay.
went in there, and if we can just hand wave and say Chip shares all that information.
Yeah, I'll share about Miss Harriet and that she knows him better and she's gossipy, so we might be able to talk with her later at some point if we need to.
Now I feel bad. The man that lost a family at childbirth, and I'm accusing him of having children's arms around.
Could have been a leak. Big, long, sort of pale.
These eyes are 20/20 vision. I know a leak from a child's arm.
I could spot a leak from a child's arm at 20 paces.
Well, here in America, you do have a lot of strange produce, so it could be some weird American thing.
Then again, also,
Ashanti,
I don't know.
I don't care what theories are being thrown around right now. You saw a child's arm.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Had you
That
rolled
was
like
what's up.
any worse than this? Like if you'd rolled, right under, I would allow you to talk yourself out of this, but that's not going to happen with what
Okay.
you rolled.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I saw a child's arm.
Chip lowers his voice a little bit and kind of says, once Aunt Sarah goes back upstairs, we could go just look around.
True. We can examine the greenhouse if need be. I mean, he's an older gentleman himself, so he probably is going to go to bed early.
Incidentally, he's younger than Veiko.
Okay.
So no,
I look a bit disgruntled.
What the hell, dude?
Okay. All right. I'm just making assumptions. Instead of asking questions, I'm making assumptions. I gotta ask these questions sometimes. Okay. So he's a younger man than Veiko, older than us, I would assume, older than the rest of us. So he may be up a pretty while. Do we see any lights or lamps that may be shining through the curtains?
So oddly enough, and I'm imagining, as for you, Ashanti, because you've been watching this closely from the very beginning, the house was dark other than the porch light when this incident happened that you saw. Then the next time you see the house, obviously you already saw him go inside. You see all of the shutters the curtains get closed up on all of the home. And there's about 8 windows on the 2-story home. Get all closed up, and there was light on the first floor. So like whatever the first front of the house lights were on internally, you see it shine through the curtains. Now that you look again, those lights are off, and you can see to the left of the porch what is probably a basement window. And that appears to be the only light that's on. He's even turned the porch light off.
Okay.
And basement window covered?
What was that?
Is the basement window covered?
Real tough to tell. It's obviously allowing light through. It's hard to see if it's blocked or not. The amount of light that's being let through is similar to the curtained area. So either, maybe it's not as opaque, or maybe it's also covered as well. Aunt Sarah is going to head back up now that she's got her glass of brandy. Do we want to say or do anything before she goes?
Have a good night, Auntie.
Have a good night, Aunt Sarah.
Good night.
Well.
You kids don't stay up too. Veiko, don't let these kids stay up too late.
I'll see to it, Aunt Sarah.
So she heads up the steps.
No later than midnight.
So
I say, Chip, how about you and I go over there? Because that basement window looks like the light is shining through there. and none of the other lights are on, so he's probably there. Let's just go see what we see. Leave the others back here. Leave them here so they can watch Auntie, make sure nothing happens to her. And we just go to see what's going on. If nothing's amiss, we leave it alone. I'm just paranoid. But I saw a child's arm. And I need confirmation on what is going on.
Yeah.
This sounds fair.
Siobhan, do you have a flash? Does Auntie have a flashlight?
I'm sure somewhere.
Yeah. Can you grab one just in case?
Root around for a bit, pull out a bunch of doilies, and there we go, under there for some reason.
I would like to have confirmation before we call the police on this man.
I don't think we should call the police on this man. He's a rich man. He's got them on his payroll anyway. If he's doing something untoward, it would have been discovered by the police by now.
You don't know American police too well, do you?
All right, so is Ashanti and Chip heading outside? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. Chip is willing to
There's
go.
two ways this can happen. There are two people walking across the street and walking up to this other person's home, or we're trying not to look like two people walking across the street into this person's home. What are the two of you doing?
I would suggest we try to not look like two people walking up to this person's home.
So that would entail obviously looking up and down the street. At this point, I would pay very close attention to Miss Harriet's home. We've already learned about her.
Okay.
And then casually, stealthily working your way maybe to the hedgerow and along the hedgerow on the left side of his property there. I think would probably be the safest approach. Between Ashanti and Chip, what are our two stealths?
Oh, I have 30.
Mine's right around there too. 40.
All right, so that means Ashanti is going to have to roll it, being the lower of the two. So Ashanti, let me get a stealth roll from you.
Okay.
$52 to your 30. Would you like to spend 22 luck to make that a success?
Yes,
Really? Oh,
I
look at
would.
you.
I think this is very important for us. So I would spend 22
All right,
luck.
go ahead and lower your luck by 22. I do need to get a sense of how this was going to be a terrible debacle, and somehow you luckily were not detected. So what happened?
So I'm creeping up, and I just not paying attention and being a lumbering brute. Sometimes I begin to knock over the mailbox because it's loose, and it's falling. And I just as I'm trying to catch it, I'm falling, but I catch it with my leg at the same time, bracing myself against the hedges. So I'm stuck in the hedges with the mailbox on my foot. I just look at Chip and say, just a little bit. Just a little.
That was definitely 22 luck worth. That was perfect.
He'll grab the mailbox, put it back up there, and then give you a hand.
And this is why I don't creep around. I just punch people in the face.
So the two of you have successfully gotten across the street. You've gotten into Mr. Corbitt's property. By all measures, it seems that neither Corbitt nor Miss Harriet or anybody else nosing around in this neighborhood has noticed that.
Okay. All right. So I look at Chip. I do this. And I point at the window. And I'm going.
All right. So as you get closer, probably within 5-10 feet of it, you realize that it is, as Veiko surmised, it is curtained. So it's a closed kind of, long basement window, right? So it's obvious this would be at the top of the basement, right? Because the basement would fall much below, but it's at ground level where you are. And as you get close enough to it, you can see that completely opaque curtain, far more opaque, honestly, than any of the curtains that you saw in the rest of the house. It is letting a little bit of light in through the curtain, but the
Okay.
window is definitely closed.
Okay. Do we hear, if we get close enough to the window, do we hear anything behind the window or in the basement? Any going on?
Think we could probably do that. So let's do. Oh, what do we want to do here?
Listen is literally a skill.
Yeah, I was looking. You know what? I was looking at the H's for hearing. So, who's got the better listen, Chip or Ashanti?
Has to be Chip.
I got 20.
I'm at 20. I got 20 as well.
So who wants to roll? Who's feeling lucky?
I think Chip has it.
All right.
So make sure you lock the sheet after you've edited it, and then you should be able to click on listen and it'll roll for you. $65. So Chip kind of gets close, but not too close, doesn't hear anything, kind of gets a little bit closer. We end up with Chip literally having his ear on the window, and man, you can't hear squadoosh.
I motioned to Chip, like,
Chip walks over to the porch and kind of pulls out the flashlight and does a little motion like, where is it that you saw the arm? And kind of pulls his coat out a little bit and kind of turns the flashlight on underneath to try to narrow the beam as much as possible and kind of look around on the ground, see if there's anything weird looking.
okay.
Yeah, Chip does not need to roll for this. So there is, it's either ketchup, tomato juice, or blood, and there's a little bit of it at the base of the steps where Ashanti explains that that's where the arm hit.
Yeah, so I show that to him.
And I whisper as low as I can, I told you.
It was not a mannequin.
I'll pull out a handkerchief and just kind of dab it and then fold it back over and throw it in there.
So it's completely dried, Chip. But with a handkerchief, you're able to kind of scrape some off, and you look at the handkerchief and you see that you've got some of the residue of the blood on there. So yeah, you fold up the handkerchief and put it in your pocket.
Head back.
Okay. Yeah, let's go head back, at least tell everybody what the blood.
Is there inside curtains? Sometimes if you get the right angle, you can see around them. Is there any angle that kind of works that you're able to stay back far enough to not really be in the light?
That's a great thing to check, Chip. And, anybody who just has curtains, just shuts them, right? If you're just closing up for the night, you throw them shut. You're not being real deliberate about it. I think what stands out, Chip, is that there's clearly like a 7-inch overlap in each of these curtains. So they were purposely closed to prevent what you're trying to do.
Cool. Let's head back.
All right.
Watch out for the mailbox.
Okay.
So as you're working your way through, a couple things that you notice. It's just like Aunt Sarah's is a beautiful home. Unlike Aunt Sarah's, though, there's planters in the front of the house under each of the windows with these gorgeous orchid flowers, which is not typically an outside type flower. And it would appear his talents are not limited by root vegetables and fruit. It appears that he's even very, very good at growing flowers as well. You come to the side of the home, There's nothing as far as windows for the basement, but there are first floor windows and second floor windows there. And there's probably a good 8 feet between the side of his home and the topiary of the bushes that he has that separates him from his neighbor's house. And as you kind of working your way back, you see exactly what Auntie Sarah mentioned, which was a greenhouse. And as soon as you spot it, I mean, this thing is huge. It's got to be at least 30 feet long, maybe 20 feet wide, and at least 12, 13 feet tall. Like, this is a huge greenhouse. It is all sweated. So you can see that it's glass, but with the dew and everything on the inside, it's really not easy to see inside from where you are. I mean, at this point, I'm having you a good 15, 20 feet away from it.
Do you want to check this out first, or go back and tell everyone now?
We're already here. Might as well take a look.
All right.
And I don't know anything about plants and stuff, but I would probably know that orchids are not northeastern outside plants.
Yeah, I know nothing about plants. I get my vegetables from the grocery store. So
we're heading to the greenhouse.
Yes.
You check,
Cautiously.
and you check the back windows. There's no lights on in the back. You see as you kind of break around the corner, right, to get fully view of the backyard. You see the greenhouse, as I described it. You also see on the other side of this backyard a huge garden, and right now it looks like might be the same material that you saw, Ashanti. He's got like a burlap cover over the entire garden, and it takes about 10 of these to cover this, right? So it is a huge garden, at least if not larger than the footprint of the greenhouse. End of November, and in the northeast of the United States, you would expect all of those burlap coverings to be ground level. But there's obviously stuff under it.
I cautiously move up, and I tell Chip I'm going to look under it, and I try to take a peek and see what's underneath the covering.
So you kind of lift up the cover a little bit. Obviously, in this, I'm extending the stealth roll out. I'll let you know if we need to re-roll for it. So we're going to assume that you're continuing to be not detected at this point. You kind of lift up. Let me get a quick spot hidden from you. And I need this to be a hard spot hidden. So when you bring up spot hidden, you have the ability to set the difficulty. I'd like the difficulty to be hard.
Okay.
While he's doing that, is there basement windows, like the foundation windows all around, but they're dark on pretty much everywhere but the front there?
Yeah. So they're dark in the back. You see 2 in the back as well. All right, so a 39 on you needed a 25% for that hard. So Ashanti, as you lift that up, you can see what's lifting the coverings are gardening stakes, right? And as you lift it up, you're lifting it up and you're seeing a tomato plant. And the tomato plant is wrapped around a double garden stick the vine itself is working its way up. And as promised by the crate box, just hanging there, almost falling off, are just these beautiful, beautiful tomatoes. So that was, as you lift up, you're seeing maybe 2 of those plants.
Okay. I go and I tell Chip that I just see tomato plants underneath there. I don't see anything out of the ordinary.
That's weird. It's too cold for tomatoes.
Really?
I'll take a quick throw the flashlight on real quick and just kind of see if there's anything in what I can see in the greenhouse. Kind of do it as best I can so that my body's stopping any reflection or from the house or whatever. And Miss Harriet.
Yeah. Luckily the topiary there is, and the bushes are blocking you from Harriet's, which is good. So yeah, you try not police flashing the flashlight all over the place. You're trying to be discreet, and as you shine in there, there's just so obviously it's much hotter inside of this greenhouse because it's just dripping with dew and what is the word I'm looking for, and I can't find it. Condensation. A huge amount of condensation, which when you look in, you can see the shapes of tables, you can see the shapes of a lot of plants, but really from where you are, even with that light, it's difficult to discern. It is dark inside.
Can't see anything here. Should just head back.
Let's check the door. Check the door.
So Ashanti, as you get to the door, you go down to the handle, and it's unlocked, and you go to open it, and it stops. And didn't even think about it. You look up towards the top, and you can see drilled into the door as well as to the greenhouse, a padlock has been put on this greenhouse above eye level, and it's got this huge padlock that's preventing you from opening the door. So it's not the handle that's locked; it is this padlock that's preventing the door from being opened.
I show that to Chip, like, it's a padlock. Can you pick it?
No, that's weird.
No.
So I want to quickly cut back to Aunt Sarah's. We've got Veiko and Siobhan. Are you guys just like watching through the window? What are the two of you doing while we see our two ninjas over across the street?
I think after doubling,
mostly face palming and sitting down because I was starting to get winded from standing up. Sitting down and looking out and thinking that I was never that clumsy.
yeah. You both saw the mailbox incident.
Yeah, after doubling over after the mailbox incident, kind of chuckling a bit at their like charades, as far as I could see before they went to the greenhouse. Siobhan will just kind of like head upstairs, and she goes and gets like it'll be like an old like study painting of something of like flowers or something like that, like lilac something, and kind of bring it down and put it on the table, just in case I need to make a thank you for the wonderful produce. I feel like that's sort of an in. Probably should have brought that up before they went and
Are you sure you don't mean a sorry we tried to break and enter into your house?
That actually, that might come up also. So we have an apology present all ready to go. This is excellent planning.
Yes, I think a great theme would be Ashanti in the bushes.
You know what? Okay.
All right, so let's cut back to the backyard and the locked greenhouse.
All right, I look at Chip and say, "Can you pick it?" He said no. So I was like, "All right, so let's head back then."
So as you start to head back, you're about halfway down the left side of the house. You're right, but left side from the street. Same path you took beforehand. And all four of you see two of the lights turn on the first floor.
Going to instinctively duck and get close to the house, like sort of outside of eye level.
Okay. And the lights are on we can see the lights from windows on our end, correct?
Yeah. So it looks like at least 2 or 3 rooms have had their lights turned on the first floor. The ground floor.
So I'm just gonna press against the house with Chip and just sit silently.
And let's say that both Siobhan and Veiko can see their friends get real cozy with the side of Mr. Corbitt's house.
So I'm going to go make a distraction and go talk to him. I feel like that's enough of a cue.
I was actually thinking the exact same thing.
Let's go.
Yes.
All right.
So I'll rewrap.
Do you have the painting?
I'll rewrap the painting so it looks like it's sort of a bit more pristine than just like, that'll do.
So unlike your compadres, you two are not trying to be something that you're not. You're just two people walking across the street. You walk across the
Personally, I think we're more trying to be exactly very, very visible, and so that everyone sees us.
We're just walking here across the
We both walk here as people will do on the streets.
We're just people walking. So you guys cross the street and go up the long drive to Mr. Corbitt's house, and you get to the front porch. Like I mentioned, the front porch light is off, but you do see lights on the first floor.
Is there a doorbell or a knocker or?
There's a large knocker.
Let's try not to break the door by knocking.
Did we see them come over?
Yeah. So you hit the knocker. Ding, ding, ding. Maybe 5-10 seconds pass. You're tempted to give it another knock, and just as you do, you hear from behind the door, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. And then you hear a click, click, clack, clack. It sounds like there's more than one lock here. And the door kind of pokes open, but just enough so he can see through. And who does he see?
Probably Siobhan. I'm probably on the left.
Yeah, I think Siobhan would have angled to be like the prominent.
So
the less threatening.
So he sees you, and he can only just see half his face. The door is only open, maybe this much, and he, yes, this is. You're. I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. Remind me your name. Siobhan. Can I help you?
Yes, I feel so terrible. You caught me at a really like awkward moment. I wasn't really expecting someone to knock, and I don't think I was quite as personable as perhaps someone should be when someone is gifting as fresh produce as you have. So I just thought I'd pop by and kind of hold the canvas out and give a little token of my appreciation.
I give her produce every week. That's awfully kind of you. 1 minute. And he closes the door. 5-10 seconds pass, and he opens the door back up again. You see him kind of straightening his clothes. He goes, oh, and you brought your friend.
Oh, well, I've had some issues walking around. I'm very new to the place, so I've had a few in other parts of town, like a little bit of like some situations.
This is a very safe part of town. You're going to love living here. He is very like, you can pick up body language pretty quick, right? And there's being welcomed into the home, and there is I am establishing a barrier with my body, and that's exactly what Mr. Corbitt is doing. He's making it very clear that this is where the conversation is going to happen. He's not trying to intimidate you or anything, but there's nothing welcoming about his body language. And he goes, you didn't need to do this. This is very, very kind. Your aunt mentioned that you're an artist, and is this one of yours?
Yes, I actually. She begins unwrapping it and like hands the canvas off to Corbitt, almost like forgetting who's behind her. Like hands it off, so like his hands are full of this wrap thing, and just kind of.
So
is there what do we see anything through the door at this point? Like what do we see in the background?
Let's get 2 spot hiddens.
How many dead bodies can you see?
How many taxidermied children?
You see a childless arm.
Nope.
Oh, so
Oh,
boy, two different things. Let's first cover Veiko. So Veiko, you deftly are just, being unobtrusive, looking back. Older styled furniture, maybe like 100-year-old furniture, but very, very beautiful furniture. You see a hallway that stretches all the way back, and the only thing that really pops out for you is what is likely the basement door. It is open and you can see light coming from the basement door. Looking for anything untoward, or anything along those lines, you're not seeing anything. Now, Siobhan, with the fumble, he's looking at the painting, and he looks up at you, and you're. Did you lose something?
No, I'm just curious where you would like. I'm always so. It's a weird little artist like tick. I'm just curious where you think you would hang it because space is important. Like having it framed in the correct lights, all important in really getting the full aperture.
I'll find a place to hang it. I appreciate it. It's getting late. It's getting late. This was very, very nice of you, and I thank you for this. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Oh well.
At this point, I look past and see some of the old furniture and look at it. Is that a Juha Ilvas? And then just barrel through into the house.
Yes.
So, anybody who's familiar with my work and my work on the stream knows that I love to end a session on a cliffhanger. And if there was ever a better time to end this session, it is as Veiko notices a piece of furniture and is going to attempt to barrel through Mr. Corbitt into the home. Guys, we're going to go to credits. When we get back from the credits, we're going to talk to the cast. We'll be right back. Okay. And I swear that Klaus and I did not arrange this ahead of time, but it was literally just a perfect thing as far as timing and everything. So that was great. So a few comments from me. First off, I was very happy to see how quickly we were able to work through character creation together. It's been over 20 years since I played Call of Cthulhu. This is my first time with 7th edition, obviously. And, I suspected it would be a relatively quick thing. There's some changes that have been made in 7th edition that I think really speed up the process. So that was good. The other thing, and I don't know what the deal is, but a lot of times the casts that I bring on to my shows are people that either I don't know or barely know. Now, it's not true of Joe. Joe and I have built a friendship and have, spent a lot of time together. I've seen Joe role play before. So I knew what to expect with Joe, and I was super excited that Joe wanted to play. But I have never met LaShawn, Jesse, or Klaus before. And man, I am so lucky because that is a ton of fun. I think the four of us jumped in and really just grabbed onto our characters just right out of the gate. So compliments to all four of you. And just the chemistry. I mean, I felt like the chemistry we had for the five of us is something that you see 4 sessions in, 5 sessions in. And I think we had it right from the beginning. So I really appreciate all of you just saying, let's do this. Let's have some fun. All right. So a couple questions. One, let's start with you, LaShawn. And remind me, you had or had not played Call of Cthulhu before?
Never played Call of Cthulhu before. A bunch of my friends have played. They told me about it. I just never really had the time to get into their sessions, but it was very interesting. The mythos itself, I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos about it and things like that, but I've never really played Call of Cthulhu. I have played Arkham Horror.
Great game.
So I have played some of that, yes. So, but I have never played the actual D&D type Call of Cthulhu.
But you've played role-playing games before, right?
Yes. I played D&D, Warhammer Quest, Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I played plenty other D&D type games and role-playing games.
What made you decide that you wanted to play a horror RPG? So when I put the casting call out, you jumped right on
it. Because I wanted to get into Fear itself, but unfortunately, Lucy Jones got into Fear itself right before I did. So if anyone knows, that was Dika, and I was upset about that, and I wanted to do something horror based. And you said, hey, the next one that comes up, you're in. So as soon as they came up, I put the comment in there. You was like, you're there. I was like, awesome. Because I watched the streams. You guys seemed like you were having so much fun. I was like, I want in on that fun. Why can't I have fun like that?
Well, and Dika I cannot wait to have Dika on another game, because like she just another example of where I've just gotten so lucky with the people that have come on my show. And this is good. So two questions. One, what is going through Ashanti's mind right now? So what does Ashanti think is going on?
He doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that he saw something that's not right. And his first thought is like, okay, I need to know that what I saw was what I saw. I know what I saw was what I saw. But I want to prove to my friends, like, hey, this is what I saw before we call the police. Because he's not thinking about handling it himself per se. He just wants the information and the evidence to show, hey, this is what's going on. Let's call the police so this guy can, be arrested for what he's doing.
Now,
if he's doing anything.
That's Ashanti. How about LaShawn, the player, though? What do you think is going on?
I think he is taking the pieces of kids and making fertilizer out of them, or he's sacrificing them to something that is helping him grow the vegetables. Those are my two thoughts as, someone who has watched a lot of horror movies, read a lot of horror novels, and I've seen almost every trope story type there can be. I was like, this is what's going on. Either A, he's grinding the kids up, or B, he's feeding the kids.
What happened to you, LaShawn? I'm going to start taking notes. This is good. All right. So Jesse, now you have role played before, and we've seen your brother on the stream. Speaking of which, he played in Fear itself with us. Yep. What made you decide that this is the game you wanted to get in on?
Don't really know. Cody had said that you were looking for people, and I had been a patron for a little while, and I was like, why not? Never played Call of Cthulhu, never actually read the story, or I know the general idea of Cthulhu, but, never really got into that don't like horror movies, that sort of stuff. But like, I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did this first session go for you? This is kind of what you were expecting? Anything surprise you, or is par for the course? Or
I don't know what I was expecting.
fair?
I mean, I think it's kind of going towards that like very subtle something's off before we get to there's cultists and monsters chasing after us. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool. Like it just kind of flowed, and I'm just trying to think like, all right, Chip trusts Ashanti. Ashanti saw something. Let's go take a look.
Yeah.
And the whole role playing with Mr. Corbitt there, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, how are we gonna play it off and go walk down the street, and then
That was a great moment. It was a great moment. So that we know what Chip's thinking then, and what's kind of going through Chip's mind. How does your theory as Jesse compare to LaShawn's?
yeah, I don't really know. Just personal knowledge, I know that like with the garden stuff, it's very weird. It's off. Something's not right. You don't put a big padlock on a greenhouse. You don't have crazy curtains in your basement unless something's going on. Like it just doesn't add up. But yeah, I mean, I figure he's doing something along that lines of making fertilizer or making it so that his temperature is in his little zone is different.
Right. All right. So what is going through Veiko's mind as he's decided he's going to barrel in to this private residence?
Well, as said, my character is very suspicious of rich people. And after having been through very many instances of where the factory owners have just been able to barrel over the workers, he wouldn't be surprised if there was this rich guy who cut up kids for fun, and he doesn't really think anything weird about the vegetables. I mean, he's from Finland and we grow vegetables here. But and of course he's not really a horticulturalist either. But he's thinking that if this guy is the kind of guy who cuts up kids, he needs to get in there and put a stop to it, because no one else will.
Yep, definitely. All right. So now for Klaas, what is your thoughts as a player? Is it line up with LaShawn and Jesse, or do you have some other ideas?
Oh, I kind of expect it's some sort of fertility god that's like probably somehow related to Native Americans, because as I've read a lot of Cthulhu stuff, and it's always a fertility god related to Native Americans.
Oh, that's great.
True.
That's some like pilgrims found, and then they went crazy, and that's the standard story. So,
you do see that theme.
Yeah,
you do see that theme in Lovecraft. That's for sure.
Because you basically, for a person to do horrible things, they need to gain something. And here it's probably like I'm half expecting that Mr. Corbitt is actually his father, and that this sacrificing is keeping him young.
Ooh, that's the new theory. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. So Siobhan brings the painting over, hands it over to Corbitt, trying to the plan was just to give Ashanti and Chip enough of a distraction to get out of there. What actually is happening now is Veiko is barging into this man's house. So what is Siobhan's thoughts right now?
Siobhan's thoughts are basically like similar to what we've kind of mentioned. Like she trusts fully that like Ashanti saw what he saw, so is in the kind of state of like information gathering, kind of trying to correlate like the nervousness with some other stuff going on, whether that's just a disposition or whether he is indeed hiding something. Right. Now her mind is racing on damage control and what she can kind of do to like talk her way out of a situation without it reflecting poorly on her aunt.
Yeah,
Like,
good point.
That's a thing that I'm very cognizant of. Siobhan is like thinking, I'm sort of a stranger here, like I don't know how things work and all that, and also she seems like a sweetheart.
Well, and you have I mean, Siobhan has far more skin in this game than anybody else, because you've got kind of a honeypot situation, next door. You don't have a ton of cash, and you get to, this is a great gig for you. Something that even if it wasn't paying well, I would imagine out of the kindness of your heart, you would take care of Aunt Sarah. But yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, could this get you kicked out? Like, what could happen here? That's a very interesting. All right. So last but not least, we got to talk to Joe. So we've got this guy is actually 85 years old. He's his father, and he's grinding up children to live longer. And then we've got the LaShawn Jesse. I refuse to buy cow poop. I'm going to grind up children and use that as fertilizer. So where is Joe's mind?
Yeah, so I'm very much in the horror genre as a fan. You might have noticed, literally any time in Blades or any times in in Star Wars, when something spooky happens, like I just get so excited. Like it's a thing that I love. So like there's a bunch of various different tropes that could be going on. The one I would love it to be is a like a little Pet Shop of Horrors thing, like he's just feeding a giant singing plant, and that would be delightful. Also, if any of these vegetables start breathing, I'm so in.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right. So for those of you that are watching, if you're watching on YouTube, we stream games live on our Twitch channel all the time. We also stream to YouTube, but the benefit of watching it on Twitch is that you can interact on the chat with other floor heads as they're watching. But if you're watching recording this on the YouTube, just give me a quick subscribe and follow, or subscribe and a like down below. The other thing that helps me a ton, if you don't mind, is a comment, ask a question, tell us what you thought, say Craig's a jerk, I don't care, just put a comment in there. That helps me. And if you're watching on Twitch, either the recording or live, first off, thank you everybody that watched live, but a follow here, the little purple heart, helps me a ton with a follow. And if you're feeling real good and maybe have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to me for free using your Amazon Prime account. Everybody who has Amazon Prime gets a free subscription on Twitch. And if you pick me for that, it would be so cool. We have not scheduled the next session. We are I'm hoping to do it obviously in November, hopefully before the Thanksgiving holiday. So I will keep everybody up to date. But if you follow me on Twitter and you follow me on the Facebook page, the Third Floor World Facebook page, it'll keep everything up to date. So I'm going to quickly start looking for a channel to raid. But in the meantime, if we can take turns, starting with you, Joe, is there any shout outs or plugs?
Hi, I am Joe. I am a person who frequents this stream occasionally for other role-playing games. If you have enjoyed this face and this voice, I would beg you all to go and check out, if you haven't already, those Blazing Dark streams and the Star Wars streams. We've all had a lot of fun putting those together, and I'm so excited for them to come back, because as much as like anxiety ramps up, I absolutely love doing.
We've had so much fun.
It's a lot of fun.
We've had a ton of fun. How about for you, LaShawn? Any shout outs or plugs?
Shout out to Third Floor Wars for putting this on and having us here. A bunch of amateurs with this pro that we call Craig, and doing these streams.
Oh, it's been great. That's been great. How about for you, Jess? Any shout outs or plugs?
Not really. For anybody who also plays Malifaux, I'm running a tournament up in Connecticut, Battle Standard. That's my local store.
Very.
What part of Connecticut?
East Windsor, so north central.
East.
Uh-oh. I smell a road trip.
I'm from New Haven,
nice.
and so I was like, I could kill two birds with one stone. If I go up there.
All right, Klaus, how about for you? Do you have any shout outs or plugs, my friend?
Well, not really, but I really want to shout out that I think you should be knighted. So that you can get an awesome name, something like Sir Gregorius Lord Vessel.
You can't somebody like buy me like a 2 inches of soil in Scotland and then I get like a title or something?
Yeah.
Isn't there somebody that scams that away? Oh God, that's fun. So where we're headed for the raid is we're headed over to McStabber Studios, which is a channel I follow, and guess what they're playing? Call of Cthulhu. Thanks, everybody.
Hey.
Hey,
Good night, everyone.
Ah!
bye, people.
Yeah.
All right. So the raid failed for some reason. Let's try it again. McStabbers, start raid. All right, we can't raid.